we are honest, this is not the same product as a newspaper. This is an entirely different product. And the metrics that are being used at the moment, like page views, clicks, impressions, aren't that useful at all. Now we have something called digital publications on tablets. And because it is more or less the same as a newspaper and is a digital platform, you can use, measure, and interact with your user. So you should see this as an opportunity to interact and get to know your user. So in summary, what's our problem? Is that we don't have enough usable consumption data from your user. The current metrics, mainly being used in websites, are too limited to be useful, but there is an opportunity in digital publications. We used that opportunity to solve this in a project called Engage Readers. It's an innovation project, and its ambition is to measure and predict the engagement of a reader with his digital newspaper and integrate it in the daily production process. It's an effort from these partners. At the business side, we have Twipe, which is a digital publishing platform, here with a booth in this hall. And we have Mediahuis, one of the largest publishers in Belgium, with brands such as NRC Handelsblad, The Standaard, and Nieuwsblad. At the academic side, we have iMinds, which I am part of, and we have the University of KU Leuven, especially with the groups Lyris and RC. The challenge of our research project is to answer this question. Can engagement be deduced from mobile user interaction metrics? Which isn't an easy question to answer. Here you can see a simplified version of our methodology that was used during the project, or is being used during the project. First, we have to define engagement. What is it? Then we need to measure something, and we do this in 3 stages. We use device tracking with over 1,000 end users from Mediahuis. And then we do user research and sensor tracking with a smaller group of people. Those measurements should result into a model which will be presented to the editorial team. First thing is, what is engagement? Our definition of engagement is the quality of a user experience in and over time. And you can see that it's cognitive, emotional, and behavioral. So, what does the user think, feel, and do? Then, we need to do some measuring. We used a number of state-of-the-art sensors. The first one is the IMEC wristband. IMEC is a research institute in Belgium in the field of nanoelectronics and is renowned for their sensors all over the world. This wristband can measure movement by the wrist, temperature, but also electrodermal activity, which is the electrical activity within your skin. We also used this necklace from IMEC, which can measure heart rate variability. We used the pupil eye tracker, which is a new eye tracker from MIT, which can measure pupil dilation, which is a form of arousal, and can also track where you are looking at the screen. And finally, we used the new Microsoft Kinect to analyze body language. Here you can see what the results are from these sensors. And we have a number of metrics from these signals, from body temperature, galvanic skin response, which is more or less the sweat gland activity being used at the lying detector, for example. And we have also a lot of heart rate variability and pupil data metrics. And as we can see here, we can see that there is definitely an emotional reaction or an arousal reaction during the reading session of a newspaper. There is a problem, however, is that we don't know if it's positive or negative. We know there's arousal, we know there's emotion, we don't know what it is. We solved this by doing also user research. This is a picture I took during the tests. At the left and right hand side, you see the test subjects equipped with a lot of sensors. And at the bottom, you can see an interviewer during those reading sessions asking them questions. Why do they like or dislike that article? how do they feel, etc., etc. At the same time, we are tracking every single movement or interaction on that tablet, from the smallest swipe to the GPS location, everything you can think of. So we have these three parts: user research, sensor tracking, and device tracking. The first thing, user research, is what does the user think? The next one is what does they feel, what do they feel? And at last we have what they do. And we believe that what they think and feel defines engagement. But it comes at a cost. You can't equip every user you have with sensors and ask them questions. What you can do is track what they are doing on your publication. So we believe that there is enough information in the device tracking in order to calculate and deduce engagement. What we need here is a mathematical model in order to calculate or predict engagement. Here you can see, for example, a predictive model of reading time. So the bars indicate the reading time in seconds of a page inside the publication. Each color means a category. And now we can calculate with this model the gray line, which is a prediction of how much reading time a certain page should get based on a number of parameters. And if there's an actual measurement, so a bar is much higher or much lower than our gray line, then we have something peculiar. So we have to present it to the editorial team. The question is, of course, how do we present it? We are making a number of dashboard prototypes in close relation with Media Huis, the editorial team, in order to make the best dashboard for their needs. And we don't want to present data. We need to present insights, and we need to have something they can use on a daily basis. We have something they can use together with their gut feeling to make better products. Our project is still ongoing, which means there's still work to be done. We now have a model for reading time, but we also need a model for reader engagement, which is much more complex. And we also need to integrate it in a dashboard inside Media Huis' editorial team in order to let them experience what it is to have both gut feeling and insights of actual data. So let me summarize on this last slide. We don't want to stop with just downloads, views, and clicks. We need to know more. And it's our obligation to understand our user in order to make a better product. And when you have insights or data, you need to integrate it in your daily process. It can't just be an extra. It has to be the human gut feeling plus the insights. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any more questions, you can reach out to me on Twitter, or you can visit the booth of Twipe here in this hall.
Robby, any questions? No? 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 Oh!
Thank you. Here in Los Angeles, Robby Strands from WAN-IFRA. You had a group of 1,500 people that you've researched.
Yeah, about 1,000.
About 1,000. What are the results, most striking results about their reading behavior that you had? You showed us the graph about the reading times. Yeah. But are there any insights that you can share with us that are general that came out of your research?
Yeah, what we see is that we have different personas or different profiles of readers. And we try to categorize them as the toilet reader, who only reads 5 minutes in the morning and doesn't read for the entire day. And then we have the senior reader, which just reads from the first to the last page in about 4 hours. So we see that we have different profiles, so we can't just fit a model for all of those people. We have to categorize them and see how much reading time a senior reader or a toilet reader has in order to better understand how good your paper is.
Did you make kinds of content as well? as opposed to time. I mean, there's certain categories of content that that generally get more reading time.
Yep.
Are there?
Especially the opinions. And because this is a Belgian project, or maybe as it's international, but everything related to money is quite interesting and people read about it. So that's something that really stood out.
You see, what's really interesting to me is if you were trying to sell this product to me, then you've just said something that's interesting, because I can sell advertising on the back of that. Have you thought about extending this into the understanding of advertising consumption? I might be more inclined to buy it if I could utilize it in content in the newsroom and content in advertising.
Yeah, of course. Our main ambition to do this is to improve the content within the newspaper. But once the ad agencies understand what engagement is, like they now understand what clicks and views are, and they could name a price on that, you can use it to better influence your ad agencies.
I'm more interested in buying it now.
Yeah.
Except if you can answer one more question, why don't I just stick with Google Analytics?
I think there's mainly two reasons why this is different. The first one is we deliver insights instead of data. You can show a graph about 1,000 swipes. An editorial team doesn't need 1,000 swipes. That's not interesting. And the second part is it's predictive. So it can look ahead in time. When you make a newspaper, it can say more or less about 1,000 users will spend 20 minutes on that, instead of the average 15. So that's something Google Analytics can't do.
Okay. Any further questions? That was really interesting. Thank you very much. Robby.
Thank you.
Now, I talk very, very briefly, all too briefly actually. I'd like to talk for more about events.